The anti-Trump conservatives, their take is that this should be celebrated because Taylor Swift is finally dating an alpha male football star rather than a beta Timothée Chalamet metrosexual.
I don't think that was actually about the interior lives of women. That sounds like an interior lives of some dude on Twitter. It doesn't sound.
It's kind of about gender roles, maybe gender roles, how women how we should think about women.
I think you should think a little bit more about what it means to talk about the interior lives of women.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Next Level. I'm JVL here with my best friends, Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark.
Sup?
Guys, great news. Morning Consult poll out today of swing states showing North Carolina, Trump plus 10, Nevada, Trump plus 8, Georgia, Trump plus 8, Wisconsin, Trump plus 5, Michigan, Trump plus 5. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. Sarah, would you like to go first?
So here, let me I'll give you my optimistic pitch on these numbers, which is the first is I don't really believe them. I think a 15-point swing among voters in Michigan from the last election there where Gretchen Whitmer, the Democrat, won by 10 points over a Trumpy alternative. So I'm just like a little skeptical on this front. I do think baked in there are some numbers. And also Morning Consult has always been a particularly Trump-friendly kind of outlet, a polling outfit, which does not mean that they are pro-Trump, just that maybe they oversample on the Trump side. So I'm not going to, lose my stuff about it. I will say the other thing, if you look at the states, and this is going to be true, and as we get into more into the general election, I'm sure I'll talk about this a lot. So they have 6 swing states in the mix, maybe 7 actually, because they include North Carolina, which I would say North Carolina should not be considered a swing state.
Yeah, but they don't have Arizona in it, right? Arizona is another
Arizona
swing
is
state.
in it.
Oh, is Arizona in that poll too? I missed it.
And this is what I was going to say. If I go back and look, I should pull it up and have it in front of me so I don't get this wrong. But it looked to me like. Actually, now I can't find it. If somebody else has it up, correct me if I'm wrong. But the Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, okay? I think that Georgia and Nevada are going to be tougher states this time around.
You have exactly right, the order.
Okay. And so the 4 states...
The margin order, just to be clear for listeners.
Yes.
Like those first 4 are 5 and under, and the other ones are over 5.
That's right. So these are plus, Michigan was plus 5, but the other ones were plus 3, as I recall. That Arizona was plus 3, Wisconsin was plus 3, Pennsylvania was plus
3.
Okay. So the ones that are plus 8, like Georgia, North Carolina, and like those are, Georgia and Nevada, those are legitimate swing states. They have gone for both, Nevada, Cortez Masto won in 22 against a Trumpier alternative. However, like that is a state where the Hispanic vote and the sort of Reid machine breaking down is becoming an increasing problem for Democrats. But there's 3 points in the states that Biden absolutely has to win. Okay. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And those are where this election is going to be fought. Like he can lose Georgia and Nevada, and it's not good, but he can. And Wisconsin. So Arizona has been trending bluer consistently. Like Republicans are having a harder time winning there, and the Republican Party is in shambles. And Kari Lake is going to be very likely the Republican nominee on the ticket. And she, like Donald Trump, tends to be kryptonite for these kind of swingier voters, the old school McCain voters. I think Pennsylvania has shown, I've seen a lot of polling in Pennsylvania where Trump is actually is losing to Biden. Pennsylvania, I think, is one of the strongest states. I was going to bring up the
Susquehanna poll that has Biden plus 8. I'm riding with Susquehanna. I don't know about you.
Let me hold on, Tim. Sarah, please finish.
So anyway, and just like I said, Michigan, the 15-point swing seems a little off to me. That seems more pro. And then what's the last state I really needed to get through? Oh, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is an interesting one. The most recent election we had in Wisconsin was the off-year election where abortion for the Supreme Court judge, where abortion was a central issue, and she won by 11 points, the Democrat. And so now, but also this is a state that did not vote for Mandela Barnes and kept Ron Johnson. But so split. They split their tickets, and people went for Evers and Ron Johnson. So it's a very white state and a very mixed political state. So, and I actually think Wisconsin is going to be the ball game this time around. I think that Biden can win Pennsylvania, can win Michigan, and can win Arizona. I think that Wisconsin is the real coin toss. So anyway, and I do think that Biden's numbers are a little extra low in Michigan because that has a big Palestinian population that is mad at him right now.
Tim,
that's my roundup.
I do not think Sarah is alarmed enough. Before I throw
okay,
to you,
well then let's go with me because I want to chime in with Sarah. I'm with Sarah.
Hold on, can I throw some more cold water on though?
Okay, fine. You can throw cold water.
We've had 17 national polls in January. Biden has led in only 2 of them. In both of those leads, it's been by 1 point. And in the last week, we have had the E. Jean Carroll jury verdict. We've had the GDP growth report showing another way beating expectations, great economic thing. We've had the Republican shit show with the Ukraine aid and border deal. Yeah. And we've had Trump becoming the assumed nominee. So in other words, we've had a period of solid, again, what we would have thought as being excellent good news for Biden. And this is the number we get. I guess.
There's always a lag. So I'm with JVL. All of that would be a fair point if this was March 31. And if a round of polls come out on March 31, we can run this tape back, and Tim is going to start mint rating in his underwear. All right, but right now I think that
micturating was that word.
Micturating. What did I say?
No. I just wanted to make sure people understood what you meant, which is wetting your pants. It's just a fancy word for peeing in your pants.
Yeah, but really bad. extra big pee in my pants March 31st if we have a round of polls that look like this. But I think that there's going to be a delay on the Trump nomination effect. I think the economic stuff is really just kind of sinking in as well. I think that there's going to be a delay on that for it to show up in the polls. And also, I don't want to be Mr. Unskew, and I'm not going to be most of the time. But I don't. The morning consult thing, let's just give it a beat, okay? Because for starters, these internet polls are really struggling to capture old people. And for our friends listening who are 65 plus, we love you. I want to pull up, this was an excellent tweet from my man Adam Carlson. He looks through the last 6 national polls among 65 plus. YouGov had Trump plus 17. Economist had Trump plus 16. Bullfinch Group had Biden plus 20. Like the internet polls can't get. And that's what the morning consult thing is. If you look at some of the more quality pollsters, Marquette recently, for example, in Wisconsin had Biden plus 2, which is the gold standard in Wisconsin. So I'm not going to freak out. You don't love to see it. No. You don't love to see a morning consult poll that has Trump plus 8 in Nevada and Georgia. That does give me bad butterfly feelings in my belly. But I don't think that we need to go into full panic mode. I do think it is time to move into full urgency mode. And, I felt that way for about a year now. So
yes.
I think that there's been some in that direction. We saw this week the Biden super PAC announced a $250 million ad buy, which is real money, real numbers. That can actually educate
Wisconsin,
people, unlike the
I
Nikki
hope.
Haley bullshit money that they're excited about. They're like, "Ooh, Nikki Haley got $5 million." It's like, great. That if you spent all $5 million in the Greensboro market, maybe you could move 2 points there. But $250 million is real money, and so I do think that we're seeing a campaign begin in earnest. And I want to check back in mid-March.
So here's my optimistic take on it. If with all of this good news and all of the Trump at his most crazy, it really is Trump plus 10 in North Carolina, Trump plus 8 in Georgia, well, then we know what America is.
It's time to start looking at property.
Well, no, I mean, like at that point, it's not like, oh, well, the voters just weren't able to, they had a bad run of economic luck, and people will make bad decisions when they like. Then this is just like, this is who we are, and this is what the country wants, and in a way, I find some solace in that. Right? I mean, it's like, that's like understanding that, like, oh, we're on a ship that's sinking, and the ship is just going down. There's nothing to be done about it. And so I take that, right? There's a fatalistic comfort.
So I gotta say, maybe it's because we're currently doing some things around here in which we're talking to a lot of two-time Trump voters who are out on Trump, and maybe I'm listening too much to them. And it's coloring my views on this stuff. Yeah, and that is selection bias because we're selecting them. But I believe they represent something real and meaningful. I think that I agree with Tim about these internet polls. I also think who really wants. I shouldn't say this probably, but like there are people like everybody's ready for or not everybody. There are people in the political universe that I think are ready for this Trump-Biden rematch and are ready for the panic of Trump coming back. And I think it's incumbent on us to keep perspective. I'm not saying they're push polls exactly, but like, I just think everyone needs to. We don't need to be on hopium stuff. We're no Simon Rosenberg. Everything's going to be fine, and we all know that. We should be worried, but I'm not going to freak out over every one poll. And I do think I believe this when Tim says run the tape back. Like, I want to be on the record that we are going to start to see a correction in this polling as interest rates get cut, as Trump becomes very, like, after Super Tuesday when it's clear. One of the things talking to voters right now is that Nikki Haley's getting enough. These guys do not understand. Like, they think Nikki can win. Isn't Nikki Haley doing well? Like, isn't it possible that I'm super pro Nikki. And Right. The idea that there's a ton here to play out, that these polls are not capturing people at, whatever. They're not capturing the intensity of the anti-Trump vote. It's okay.
Look, everything you're saying should be happening, right? That's like, I hope on March 31st that when we run this back, all of this stuff appears in the polling data because it should be there. Like, there's no governing by if all the laws of physics held, then that's where we would be, right? So, but it's just a question of whether or not people are what they are. One person who is, we'll get to Shelley more Capito in a minute. Sarah, I'll just sit here like a piñata. I'll just twirl around.
People are desperate for the Shelley Moore Capito content. By the way, I teased it on Ballot Box, and JVL has just teased it, and it's coming, people. So just wait your turn. Just get ready.
You have thoughts on Nikki Haley, and you want to beat me about the head and shoulders with it, and so I'm here.
I just want you to know I read your triad yesterday.
Thanks. You only read the ones you want to yell at me for.
Not true. Not true.
Did you make it to the second item in the triad, or did you just read number one?
I just read number one.
It's a triad. It's a 3-part
I do know that, but the first part was the part that I was most interested in. And I would just like to have a quick debate on the merits of Nikki Haley's, her current role that she's playing in the race and ultimately in her criticism of Donald Trump. And I think you are being shockingly, I think you're being too fatalistic and too negative. Now, here's the thing. I know and am aware that just as you up front admit that you were wrong about Liz Cheney, 100%. You were wrong about Chris Christie.
100%.
That I can also be loosey with the football. Hold
on. We're not saying we're wrong. I want to see Chris Christie. I want to see the big fella on stage with Joe Biden before anybody's saying they're wrong about Chris Christie. So I want to see it first.
You can wait on that. I will take the L on Chris Christie right now. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay. She has. So I tweeted something after Nevada where I was like, if Nikki Haley's not going to actually attack Trump, then like, I want her to get out, and I want Trump to be the nominee as quickly as possible for the contrast, so that the contrast with Biden directly can begin as soon as possible, because I think that does start to turn the narrative around a little bit. And so people did not like that take on Twitter. They were like, no, Nikki needs to stay in. And I was kind of like, well, if she's going to run the campaign she's been running this whole time, I don't see the point in her staying in. But she has started to run a different campaign, okay? And I think that your negativity about her is unwarranted, as in this moment, what we should be doing is not saying, and we've had this argument before, because sometimes I think when you say that somebody is definitely going to do a thing, like she's definitely going to endorse Trump, she's definitely going to break our hearts, you sort of give them permission to do that thing, right? Because why would she do anything else? Nobody expects her to do anything else. We should be putting a ton of pressure on her not to endorse Donald Trump, and we should be celebrating and amplifying her criticisms of him. She's going pretty hard at him right now. And like, that's good. That's good. And I think, that's psychologically for her too. The more she does it, right, the more she burns the boats, the less chance there is of her going back. And like I said, I'm willing to be wrong about this. And I do think that one of the worst things Nikki Haley would do, I just won't stand in total judgment of her at this moment, because I think Nikki Haley's going to hit a crossroads. And if the path she takes is to say, I will not endorse Donald Trump, she doesn't have to endorse Joe Biden, but she will not endorse Donald Trump because she believes what she says about him, then that would be incredibly meaningful. If she does endorse him after all of the things that she says one-on-one. Because these aren't like his tax policy's stupid or whatever. This is like he's mentally unfit and incompetent. Like, she's down that road. If she endorses him, she's dead to me. And I'm sure that keeps her up at night, the idea of being dead to me. Sure, but like, that is a horrible permission structure for the people who also feel like everything she said about him is true, but then say, oh man, people like Nikki, like we all just get back on the team. That's what we do. And so I would withhold judgment. You are judging her right now, quite harshly, I think, before she's done anything, before she's made that choice.
All fair. I wouldn't disagree with any of that. I am judging her. I'm prejudging what I believe she's going to do. And I may be wrong. I am also judging a little bit the cravenness of her, a week and a half ago, like, I don't know anything about these cases. Why are you asking me? And then like, oh yeah, sure, we got this one. This just seems like somebody who will say anything.
But isn't she doing what we've asked her to do?
I guess I like people who just like say the things that they actually think.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But also, like, do we make no allowances for the campaign to sort of shift?
Let me ask that. Let's play that out. Because seriously, because I don't. Because here's why. Why? This is what it comes down to me. Like, why? Like, the fundamental argument on the side of her not telling the truth is that it might help her politically. And is there evidence for that? Like so far the evidence seems to be that like, oh yeah, it's helped her politically. She only lost by 30. And it's like, well, the point of this isn't to lose by 30. Like, she's won 2 counties. The strategy to date has not really worked. And so it's kind of like, why are we making allowances for her? To help her beat Trump? Because I'm there. If you're telling me that this that Nikki's strategy of pulling punches and not really saying what she really thinks might lead to her winning South Carolina, you could get me there. All right, you can get me there. But none of us see any path to her winning South Carolina or Super Tuesday or anything or the nomination. So why make allowances for her to kind of, do a half-ass attack on Trump and then endorse it? Obviously you're not for the endorsement, but that, I guess that would be my case. Like, I just don't see why make allowances for her.
Because if I think now that she's really saying and running against him, I went from thinking, what's the point? Drop out, to like, no. Okay, you're going to say the thing for as long as donors will keep you in this race to say the thing and go after him. The 20% that she's appealing to, or the 18% in national polls, sorry, but those are the prime targets for the Republican voters against Trump types. It allows us to identify those people. It allows us to figure out the number of sort of old school Republicans that stay in the party and which ones are persuadable. I see value in it as long as she's telling the truth about him now. And also, the one reason I'll give her a little latitude on this is like, she was the fact that they weren't trying to win before was so evident. And now, like, that people are starting to pay attention, like, case making matters a little bit more. She's one-on-one with him, and people are, like, tuning in a little bit for the first time. It's like, I just see value in it. She erases the value and, in fact, turns it into a negative if she endorses Trump. But if she doesn't, then this is valuable, what she's doing right now.
So I don't disagree with that. I guess my view of this is that if you think of this as like leverage, right? Think of like physics with a teeter-totter, right? And leverage. The weight of what she's doing now is very, very close to the fulcrum, meaning that like there just isn't a lot of leverage to it. And what the only thing that will wind up mattering is what she does at the end. Like that's when she's all the way out to the end of the teeter-totter. And, you know, like it doesn't matter what she says now, because if at the end of the day she goes and endorses him, it blows up all of that.
See, this is where this is the part I really disagree with, is that I agree it matters a great deal what happens in the end, but what she does in the end then makes what she does right now matter considerably more. Because if right now she burns the boats on him and then she refuses to endorse him, you've gotten yourself, you bought yourself what, another month or so, depending if she goes through Super Tuesday, another couple of months of her talking right to Republicans about how unfit he is and then refusing to endorse him. And so that is the outcome we want. Like, we should want that outcome. We should encourage that outcome.
Totally agree.
So it's not to me like what she does, like, and it's the reverse. If she endorses him, then the fact that she's gone hard at him is actually made worse by that. And so, like, she's going to reach a crossroads, and we want her to choose the path of not endorsing him.
Choose the right path, Nikki. I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy wants to get to Shelley Moore Capito.
You know what
and
the
not
wrong
talk about
path is? You know what the wrong path is? Can I tell you the wrong path?
Hit me.
She's a senator from West Virginia, if you haven't heard about her. She was the senator. She was senator on January 6th. She's been senator for a long time, actually. She's been in Congress since the year 2000. Here were her comments on, I think, January 7th. The actions and reactions of President Trump were disgraceful, and history will judge him harshly. That's her comments on January 7th. Here's Shelley Moore Capito's X post over the weekend. Today, at the West Virginia GOP winter meeting lunch, I announced my support for President Donald Trump. During his administration, our economy thrived, our nation was secure, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you, Kelly Moore Capito. Fuck you. Like, this is so crazy. This is so crazy.
Tim.
Disgraceful. History will judge him harshly. I want her to be president again?
Not her. She said history will judge him harshly. She would judge him harshly.
Herstory will not judge him harshly. I just there is no. I know that we've done this before, but like there is no analog to this. Like there is no other. There's no example. There's no both sides. There's no Democrats. There's no past Republicans. No matter how much you've hated any politician ever before in history, they've all been hypocrites. Everybody's talked out of both sides of their mouth. Never before has somebody been like, I think this person is so bad that the history books will shame them, and I want them to be president again. Like it makes no sense. It is enraging, and she absolutely knows better. I know she knows better. I know people that worked for her. I know people that are friends with her family. I know West Virginia politics. I know Shelley Moore Capito. She fucking knows better. She is a 70. Not that it would be better if she was doing this for some personal political calculation. She's a 70-year-old. She's been in Congress for 25 years. She's not going to be on Donald Trump's short list. It's not like she's waiting until 2028 where she's playing out. She wants to keep her options open. Her career is over. Just do the right thing. Do you know why she's doing this? I'll tell you why. Because her kid wants to run. Her Nepo, and her child, Moore Capito, he's not even a Nepo baby, by the way. He's a Nepo grandbaby. Because Shelley Moore Capito's father, Arch Moore, was a longtime politician in West Virginia, and he was the governor of West Virginia in the late 80s. So her fucking Nepo grandbaby needs his mother to try to ruin the American experiment in order to make sure he has a better chance to win a little primary this year. How about you shut up? How about you just say nothing, okay? And let Arch shame himself and earn this on his own merits.
They saw what
It's
happened
not like
to George
this kid
P.
couldn't go do something else.
This is what I was going to say.
They
JBL
saw what happened to
beat me
George P. And
I'm
they
sorry,
learned their
Tim.
lesson.
Your boy Jeb also. Remember when George?
He didn't endorse Donald Trump for president.
Right,
He
that's
never
what I'm
endorsed Donald
saying.
Trump.
They
And-
saw that. And they realized, crap, look what happened to George P. We got to make sure that doesn't happen to
What do you
him.
mean? Look what happened to George P. He lost anyway.
Yes.
He lost anyway.
Yes,
right?
because his dad didn't.
George P. totally suckled up to Donald Trump, and he had little.
you're
he
missing.
had little
Because his
fucking
dad
koozies about why he was the only Bush that was right.
What I'm saying,
George
Tim,
P.
is-
Bush actually insulted his family, the honor of his deceased grandparents.
You're
Okay, like
missing
he
me,
insulted
Tim.
them in
What I'm
order to
saying-
try to
we're
get on
making.
Trump's side and
Yes.
got nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Jeb didn't endorse, and then no matter what George P. did, he still lost because of it. She is trying to avoid that fate for him. That's what I'm saying.
Then just leave. Okay? Then just go away. Then just go away. All right? If you are unable to do this because you want little more, who's done nothing in his life, I'm pulling up Moore's Wikipedia. Here's his life. Okay? He graduated and then he went into the House of Delegates. All right? This person is exactly what MAGA should hate. He's exactly what anti-establishment Republicans should hate. He's done nothing his whole life. He's just a little, forget career politician. He's a life politician. He's been a politician since he was a toddler. And now we've got to risk the end of our democracy to make sure he can be governor of West Virginia? No. Fuck
Can I ask you something?
Fuck you,
You
Shelley
seem
Moore
more mad at Shelley Moore
Consternated,
Capito than
one might say.
consternated.
Concerned.
Than it's not. That's no way that's the right formulation. Than you did about Marco Rubio. I mean, like every single one of these guys, and they all said that Trump did. Like they all said January 6th was bad, and he was bad.
Yeah, well, no, I'm mad about all of them. We can do this every week if you want. But this one,
like, why
particularly-
Shelley Moore Capito?
Okay, this
Why
one,
does
because I know her. I don't know really, but I know her. Like I have a 1 degree of separation from Shelley Moore Capito. This person knows better. This person is a 70-year-old grandmother. Why do this? Like, why? At least Marco and his fucking big ears, he's convinced that he's like Pinocchio, where like every year, like the more lies he tells about Donald Trump, his ears grow bigger, and he's convinced that like by 2036 he'll be able to fly into the White House. Okay, he's like a middle-aged man who has delusions. So I don't
Dumbo.
like that, but he has delusions
Yeah,
of a future
we've got
political
mixed
career.
Disney references happening.
No,
that-
didn't
you know,
Dumbo? Yeah,
I wanted
Dumbo,
to-
the ears flying.
But that's
I
not
defend-
Pinocchio. It's
that's
a mixed. I thought it was a riff more. It was more of a riff than a mixed metaphor.
I want to defend Shelley Moore Capito because I want to cop to my
you
own thing.
don't.
I want to cop to my own thing.
You would end the American experiment so that Flash could be governor of New Jersey.
Well, I mean, it's not far. I really disagreed with Joe Biden's decision to try to forgive student debt via executive order. I thought that was a bad thing.
Me too.
A bad, probably unconstitutional thing. And yet here I am saying that we ought to hope that Joe Biden is elected president. So really, when you think about it, it's the same, right? I'm the same. All right. Time for a word from our friends at Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal kit company, and they make eating well easy with plans to fit basically every lifestyle. Whether you're keto or paleo or vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free or just trying to get more balanced meals, Green Chef has you covered. You can elevate your everyday wellness with the #1 meal kit for clean eating and discover new gut-friendly recipes each week. Green Chef delivers whole food for your whole body. They're committed to providing a holistic approach to nutrition by offering meals that contribute to the overall being of your entire body. Choosing Green Chef means choosing real, wholesome foods that don't just fill you up, but also support a healthy lifestyle. It's more than just satisfying hunger. It's about feeling good with every bite. Green Chef's new gut and brain health meal, which is something I need to get on, includes a mouth-watering array of
The
nutritious
gut
dinners.
or the brain you need to get on?
Both.
Which health do you need?
Both. Clean snacks and functional drinks crafted to actively support the well-being of your gut and enhance cognitive health, which, again, two things I need. So they've got these nutrient-dense, science-backed gut and brain health recipes developed in partnership with registered dietitians, and they improve digestion, reduce bloat, and also boost energy and immunity. So here's the thing about Green Health. Also, first of all, something to note, Green Chef is now owned by our friends at HelloFresh, and they have a wider array of meal plans to choose from, something for everyone. And that's why I actually haven't gotten my Green Chef box yet, but I'm super excited to, because the HelloFresh people were the bomb. They were really, really excellent. So go to greenchef.com/60nextlevel and use the code 60nextlevel to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
Why aren't you madder about Shelley more, Capito, Sarah? That's what I want to know. Why am I alone? I was hoping my rant was going to get you riled up, and you were to be like, "You're right, Tim. Screw her. Why is it just me?"
He spent your whole ad read getting so mad at me, putting his hands in his hair. I just watched him. He got redder as you were reading the ad.
I hope you didn't mess up our ads.
Getting redder.
Yeah,
I love our boys
Sarah
at Green
laughed
Chef.
at me about my rant about why are you so mad at Shelley Moore Capito? Why aren't you mad at Shelley Moore Capito?
I of course am. I just we're super far down the list now of senators who have endorsed Trump. I just at this point I don't know. She actually waited kind of long in the grand scheme of things. Like Cornyn already endorsed him, Rubio already endorsed him. I mean, Lindsey Graham endorsed him a million years ago. Who was the first one to endorse him out of the gate? I don't know. Even Mitch McConnell's out there.
Even though she's in the House, but
I'm talking about senators. But I just the West Virginia senator, the state that Trump won by 50 points. As a moral matter, you know that I'm with you. I just I guess I don't know. On my outrage meter, we're sort of in this.
Just watch out when the Todd Young endorsement comes through. Okay, I'm gonna have some thoughts about that.
I will be very sad about the Todd Young endorsements because Todd Young is one of the few adults left there, but also people that are purported adults, they're already rushing to endorse him. It's discreet. I mean, what do you want from me? You know what I think about it. It's just funny to me that you zeroed in on this one.
Yeah.
Speaking of adults, Taylor Swift is an adult.
Oh, do we have to talk about this?
I mean, only if you want people to listen to our show and watch the YouTube version of it. Because everybody wants to talk about this. But if you're not into it, Sarah, we don't have to. Am I the only person here who actually likes Taylor Swift? Is that the truth?
So I will tell you, hold on. I will tell you that so first of all, on the Taylor Swift, you've taken two things that I don't care about very much at all.
That's not true. You're a football fan now. You told me.
This is my problem. This is my problem, right? So I try to care about football, and obviously I like music, but I don't engage in either of them enough because I just don't, I don't care. And so the problem is two things that I don't care that much about have converged into the biggest political story. And now it is forcing me to have to care, and I resent it. But the only thing I did in service to this, I will not comment on it on Twitter because there's just too much. I cannot believe how much discourse there is about this thing. The only thing I'll say is that I did to get her essentials, on the Apple, iTunes, whatever, and was playing them today. And I was like, oh, there's a whole bunch of songs on here I don't know that are quite good.
Yes.
So you know what?
Songwriter.
I'm gonna listen to more. This is my big attempt to engage in the discourse.
Sarah, I want to get you engaged. I'm going to get you engaged in a different way about something you do care about: the interior lives of women and the choices of women. Okay, so I'm going to have a topic on this because me and Bill, if you on the ballot box, it's on the Next Level feed. We put it in there. Me and Bill did 20 minutes on how crazy all the MAGAs are and how their conspiracy theory is insane and how these people are misogynists and have lost their mind and how the triangle of doom. We did it all. We can do more. But I found finally one interesting take on Taylor that I'd like to read this morning. These are the normal conservatives. Edmund Smirk. Right? I know you're going to be excited about this. I wonder who Edmund Smirk voted for. I think probably he wrote in Edmund Burke. Conservatives get the entire Taylor Swift story wrong. The last dude Taylor dated was an unambitious and effeminate British actor who turned her into a forever girlfriend of 6 years. She stuck around, even as he hid their relationship, made her walk out on the outside of the road, and he forestalled their family formation. Taylor had to lead the relationship and play the masculine role. This is why it did not work, because of course it would not. It rarely, if ever, does with beta males. The conservative worldview has been completely vindicated, yet we are not celebrating. Instead, we have to complain about fake wokeness because conservatives are enthralled to a reality television host rather than celebrate her relationship with the football player who is an alpha male. So there you go. Those are the good conservatives. That's what we got left. This guy, who I think must be a homosexual himself, because I don't know any straight males who can go that deep on Taylor Swift's dating history. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe he's just a gay guy that likes alpha males. But the good conservatives, the anti-Trump conservatives, their take is that this should be celebrated because Taylor Swift is finally dating an alpha male football star rather than a beta Timothée Chalamet metrosexual.
Okay, so I don't think that was actually about the interior lives of women. That sounds like an interior lives of some dude on Twitter. It doesn't sound.
It's kind of about gender roles, maybe gender roles, how women how we should think about women.
I think you should think a little bit more about what it means to talk about the interior lives of women on your takes. But
Sorry.
All right.
A good show.
Good show, short show. JBL's going to have a coronary.
Correct. That's a fair criticism. That's a fair criticism. Do you have any thoughts about Edmund Smirk, though?
No, but I'm going to make a broader point about. I will say the extent. I've been trying to skip all the Taylor stuff, but it's so replete through anything that I'm reading that I can't avoid it. And so I did sort of watch a few seconds of this guy who I guess is some kind of a sports announcer about football.
Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, and so he was breaking down the number of seconds that Taylor Swift has actually been on the screen at these games. And it's 32 seconds, 14 seconds. And people are this thing of, there is the part of me, just the good old-fashioned woman part, the sisterhood part that goes, why is everybody so mad that the camera is showing Taylor Swift? The extent to which this causes men to lose their minds, that Taylor Swift is bebopping around at a game having fun, because God knows nothing makes these dopey alpha male keyboard warrior incels angrier than a woman who is rich having a good time. I think it is, yeah, that's why I downloaded her music, because I'm on her side, and I don't really know why, but I am because this stuff is so stupid. I'm not invested in her dating a football player. The takes that actually make me the angriest are the ones where it's Taylor Swift is dating him for his money. I'm this woman is maybe the richest woman on the planet. I don't understand this. She does not need him. And also this is the other thing that bothers me. Oh, wait, it turns out I do have thoughts on this. Is that
I knew Edmund Smirk would get you going.
Yeah. It's why can't people just let people be happy? They seem like two young kids having a nice relationship. And
have you not watched America over the last 7 years, Sarah?
I just think this seems like maybe something people could feel, if not neutral about, neutral to good. It seems very weird to want to be angry. And all of the discourse about how it's why aren't conservatives more they should like this because this is a all-American football player and the most, a country music singer. I'm who cares about any of that? These are just two human beings who seem to like each other, who seem both good at the things that they do. And
seem is the key word there, though, because it's not authentic. It is an op. And Joe Biden
this is the part
and
I cannot
George
go
Soros
deep on.
are
I can't
behind
go
it.
deep on
It is an op. It's not authentic. They found these two people because it's so outlandish to think that a country music star and a very handsome football tight end might find each other on their own. It had to be Pfizer. The executives at the pharmaceutical companies, they made this happen, Sarah, and that's why people can't be happy, because they seem happy. It seems like something you should be happy about, but it's more than it seems.
So I'm going to say something unbelievably obvious to half of America, but not entirely obvious to me until recently.
If Joe Biden actually put Taylor Swift together with a football player, he would have picked a Philadelphia Eagle because that's his favorite team and it's a swing state.
So COVID-19 broke my brain in one important way, which is that it made me change my entire view of the pro-life movement in America. Because I sat through, I mean, I was, in and around, I'm nominally pro-life. I'm Catholic. I believe all the stuff. And I had always defended the pro-lifers who I traveled around with as being like, no, these are people who like really sincerely care about life. And then COVID-19 happened, and I watched most of those same people be like, don't make me wear your damn slave mask. And, no, it's just the flu. And who cares if they die, then that's because they took the shot and all the shit. And between that and then with the reversal of Roe v. Wade, the absolute uninterest in doing anything to help mothers who are having babies. Like there's no like welfare state expansion. There's no like child support or something like that. It's just, we just want to criminalize things. And I came to the conclusion that actually most of the stuff that pro-choicers said about pro-lifers over the last 20 years about how they just want to control women were probably true. And watching the Taylor Swift is another one of these moments for me where it just seems to me obvious
some,
now.
But continue.
I'm
just registering that I'm downgrading you to some.
Okay. Watching the Taylor Swift thing, it just seems obvious to me that the real reason they're so angry is just because she's a woman and she's successful and they don't like it. It's just misogyny. And again, I'm sure this is the most obvious thing to many people in America. And also
not on their political tribe, right? Also, what they seem obsessed with right now, too, is that she might endorse Joe Biden and that
she's only barely not on their political. She's not Barbara Streisand, right?
Yeah,
she is not a person whose primary identity is politics, And she, to the extent that she has dipped her toe into politics, it has been very gingerly.
Right.
And
because it's anybody that's not MAGA as part of the other political tribe.
Yeah, but this all started. You have to be actively with the Eras tour.
You have to actively choose to put on the red hat, or else you're other.
And they just, watching them flip out when the tour movie came out and made $110 million in its opening weekend or whatever. They lost their minds over that. They just don't like the fact that she is like this incredibly successful woman whose success, is largely tied to her believing in her own worth. I mean, this is like her entire career can be read as an artist believing in her own worth against the sort of big corporations in her industry. And they don't like that. And they don't like it because she's a woman. And again, I'm sure this is totally obvious to like half of America already. But for me, I'm like, wow, hold on a minute. Yeah, this is just, a bunch of dudes hate women.
I have one other thing that I saw just casually online, though, that has really stuck with me that I think is very funny, which is the moment that I learned who both Kanye West and Taylor Swift were was the moment.
MTV Movie Awards?
Yeah, it was that the MTV Movie Awards.
Or whatever it was.
Whatever it was. Or maybe it was.
I'm going to let you finish.
I'm going to let you finish. But so she wins, and he's mad on Beyonce's behalf, and he interrupts her like a acceptance speech to say that Beyonce had the best album of the year. And it was a deeply rude thing for him to do. But it created a rift, right? Because there were people, especially I think maybe let's call them more liberalish folks, who took Kanye's side because they didn't like that this white woman was getting this over because a lot of people thought Beyonce had the best album. And conservatives sort of took Taylor's side for whatever cultural signifying reasons of their own. And everybody now has switched sides. One of those, that guy, the ones that lips like, he's a white supremacist now. He's like an anti-Semitic white supremacist. And she's a liberal icon. And this is, I think, a nice encapsulation of the trajectory of our culture over the last 15 years.
I will say, as an interrupter and a Beyonce fan, even I thought it was a little much.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, Kanye, I'm for Beyonce on this, and I'm okay with interrupting a woman every now and then, if you need to have something to say. But this is you're taking it a little too far here, my man.
We're gonna move on here in just a second, but I just want to issue a word of caution for all of the new football fans on the left who love Taylor Swift and whatnot. Don't don't get too out over your skis here, because the San Francisco 49ers are a very good team. They're slight underdogs, but they could very easily win the Super Bowl. And if that happens,
Niners are favored, actually.
Then are they favored now?
Yeah, they're favored by one. No,
They're
I'm on the
a good
Chiefs.
team, right? So it's a pick 'em. And if they win, then all of these horrible people like Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be running off to Twitter to yell, "See, Taylor Swift cost them the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah," and go dunking. And so that's coming your way. So don't get too over-invested in this story. That's all.
Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are also very handsome as well. If you're looking for a San Francisco handsome person to thirst after. Okay, this show. I don't know if my endorsement of Christian McCaffrey's looks is sponsored by our sponsor, but the show is sponsored by Miracle Made. Did you know that temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I wake up a little too hot. That's me. I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets, inspired by NASA. Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. It's especially true for those of you that don't wash your sheets regularly. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than the sheets used by some 5-star hotels. I'm on them right now. I'm on the Miracle Made. I was on them last night, and my report is my temperature was feeling pretty regulated. So
Boy, I wish I had these in college, because I got to say, back in my college days, I would wash my sheets once a year. Early 20s, it probably upgraded to once every 3 months. Could have used some Miracle Made back then.
Same. I think I washed my sheets less than that in college. I don't know that I did wash sheets in college. I think I just had them and then I threw them away.
Yeah, my sheet would invariably be bunched up at the top of my bed, not just sleep straight on the mattress.
So you better trust our endorsement of these sheets, because we are 3 sheet experts right here. Go to trymiracle.com/nextlevel to try Miracle Made sheets today.
I just want to say for the record, it's not that I don't like music or care about it. I just mostly like it when it's in the form of musical theater. That's
fair.
I'm much more invested.
And I also would say I'm a huge music person, as evidenced by the fact that I write about music for the Bulwark, and that's my least read articles of the year every year. But even I don't care. I've kind of stopped reading a lot of musician interviews, because I'm I don't want it to ruin my experience of it.
Yes.
If you're determining your whole emotional response to music based on who somebody's dating in a football game, that seems like a bad personal choice.
My key point is that it's not that I don't care about music, it's that I don't care about the personal lives of actors and musicians. The pop culture aspect, the People magazine aspect of all this is irrelevant.
Noted. All right, we got to move on to an important topic, a serious topic. Cori Bush is currently a victim of the Biden crime family. It's happening again. Joe Biden's Department of Justice is investigating Cori Bush, a Democratic representative from the state of Missouri. And the investigation centers around misuse of campaign funds. She's also being investigated by the FEC and the House Ethics Committee. What she says is that she has used campaign funds to pay for security, because as a regular member, she's not entitled to security. She says she's cooperating completely. But the fly in the ointment seems to be that one of the men she was paying for security, she is now married to. And so we will see how this shakes out. But it is important to note that once again, the Biden crime family is using the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies, because Cori Bush has been quite vociferous about her disagreement with the Biden administration.
The DOJ has
one of you stop me before I keep going.
The DOJ rap sheet is pretty. It's pretty long here. I mean, it's
Hunter Biden.
It's levels upon levels. I mean, the Joe Biden DOJ wasted 3 years before they started to investigate Donald Trump for trying to overturn our democracy. They're now investigating Joe Biden's son. They're investigating Democratic senator and former colleague of Joe Biden, Bob Menendez. They're investigating the
mayor of
New York mayor, Eric Adams.
Democratic mayor of New York.
They're investigating a Texas congressman, Democratic congressman, and now investigating Cori Bush. So that's quite. I mean, it's all you got to keep up appearances, okay? You know, when you have a politicized, weaponized DOJ, you know, you can't make it too obvious. All right, so you have to
patsies.
Yeah,
These
you got
are
to
the
throw
patsies,
people
right?
off the scent. You got to throw people off the scent, including the family members of Joe Biden. I would love. I struggle with this. We don't get to engage as much. Sometimes I do, but it's hard to engage with MAGA folks because they don't want to. But I have not ever got a good answer on this. Like when I was interviewing Bannon for the circus, I felt like the inverse of this. The one time I really stumped him, and it was hard for him to come up with bullshit, was on the inverse, which is if this was a weaponized investigation, like in Georgia, why are so many people pleading guilty? And he took a very long pause and then kind of gave a totally non sequitur answer. You could tell he was like, I hadn't thought about that one yet, right? And the inverse is true. Like if it's weaponized, like why are they doing this? And on each individual case, like they've come up with some Hunter Biden reasoning, so it was they went easy on him and blah. But like as a body of work, it does seem to undermine the conspiracy. But that hasn't seemed to break through in
Sarah, does
Fox.
any of this ever register with the people you talk about in the focus groups, either Democrats or Republicans? Do any of them look at this and be like, no, actually, it seems like the Biden Justice Department is behaving reasonably responsibly?
No, not on that. I think that it has the intended effect with voters, or not the intended effect, I'm sorry. I think that what happens with voters, and this is one of the things why it's really important for the Republicans to focus on Hunter Biden, is that I do think that people have this sense of like they're all criminals. Right. And it really does. Like even when Tim was sort of listing off the number of people, I was like, this is why people think government is corrupt and doesn't respond to their needs. And I think people should stop committing crimes, basically. It's my hot take. People should do less of this. But I think their goal is to muddy the waters, right? If everybody's corrupt, then Donald Trump's corruption matters a great deal less, right? And the what about opportunities are increased. And so I think that's what I see in the groups is that sort of fatalistic sense of, well, the documents. Well, Joe Biden kept documents and so did Mike. It muddies the waters to the extent that Donald Trump is normalized because corruption is normalized.
I guess. I mean, I look at it and I don't fully understand that, right? Because if the position is, boy, lots of people in government are corrupt, I don't understand how the remedy for that is, so let's vote for the guy who's the most corrupt and for whom we have actual charges and evidence, and then we're going to vote against the guy for whom there are no reasonable allegations of corruption. That just doesn't seem like a remedy. Yeah, well, I mean, it's only democracy, right? Why would they think about it that hard?
I agree, JVL, but I understand why people don't get it. It is like they don't follow this stuff that closely, and this kind of relates also to the Taylor Swift thing, right? Like the MAGA people that buy into the Taylor Swift as an op thing don't actually think about the details of this. Like they're in their brain, they're not like, I wonder how this actually worked in process. Like, did Joe Biden meet with the pharma executives and Travis Kelce? Like, did they try out multiple actors? Right? Like they just have this sense that things are corrupt and that they are the victims of this corruption that is happening by these shadowy elites. And that is also true about the DOJ stuff. Like, they don't actually think, how is Joe Biden targeting Donald Trump specifically? Like, it's just like, these guys are all are political and they're out to get us.
It's also true about, like, how the election was stolen. Like,
right.
When you ask people, like, well, what do you think they did to steal the election? They're like, well, I don't know exactly what they did, but, like, I'm just saying that when I went to bed, Donald Trump was winning, and when I woke up, Joe Biden was winning, and what do you make of that? And if you're like, they kept counting votes overnight.
I have been told by Republicans and conservatives for years, that facts don't care about your feelings. And now it seems like it's the other way around. Their feelings don't care about the facts. That is
true. It's an astute observation. I do want to go to the just Democratic primary politics of this really quick, if you don't mind, before we leave, because I think it's important. I think we're going to learn we're going to have some interesting new data points about the Democratic coalition this year. You don't want to overstate any particular primary, but Cori, the squad is going to be facing some primaries. Cori Bush has a primary from Wesley Bell. It's a black local prosecutor in St. Louis. There might be another candidate in that race. So we'll see how that shakes out. Jamal Bowman, I don't know, did you see his 9/11 truther poetry?
I saw that it existed.
Written in verse.
Yeah.
Written in verse.
Yeah, it was a little that I love. Ben Dreyfuss sent a tweet that was like, "It feels a little generous to call this poetry," but I'm not a judge of that. Maybe we'll have Hannah weigh in on that. I'm not a poetry expert, but Jamal Bowman, obviously, between the fire alarm poll and then lying about it, and obviously his positions on the far left, he has a primary challenger that's a more, I think, direct ideological race. George Latimer, who's a county executive, supporter of Israel, and Elon Omar might also get a primary. So I think that it is interesting. I think it is at least an interesting data point that these are viable primaries, right? Where the power on the Republican side is still the other way. There's the exception of Cawthorn, where everybody ganged up against him. But there are very few exceptions. And usually when you talk about primaries in a Republican contest, it's the normies who have to act crazy to fend off the crazy, right? And here we have a case where it's, I won't call them the craziest, but the more extreme and maybe a little corrupt side of the Democratic caucus, like they're now having to check out their middle flank. We'll see if that is a real fear or not, but I think that's worth monitoring.
Yeah, although I will say, I think Lauren Boebert might lose her primary, which
Well,
she changed districts.
Too, right?
Such a weird
she
case.
She did change districts.
She changed districts, and I actually don't know. I bumped into the airport this week a guy I used to work with in Colorado who's in Republican politics. And it's funny, like it's like this microcosm of Trump 2016. He's like, if we can just get her in a one-on-one, I think that we can beat her. But like the current situation is like, he's like Boebert has like 36%, and then there are like 9 people who like range from like they're attacking her because they're more MAGA than she is to like there's relative normies. So like they have the whole a lot of also people with criminal records. So like all the colors of the rainbow in that primary. So anyway, but Boebert would be the other potential counterexample.
All right, good show. Incredibly long show, guys. Thank you.
I got another hour on Taylor.
Perfectly normal size show. I know. I could get wound up about that, I guess.
Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us 5 stars, and leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, please. It helps us more than you can know.
Yeah, and for one reason, actually, in particular. Because I'm getting a little annoyed by how much higher George Conway and Sarah Longwell's podcast, George Conway Explains It All to Sarah Longwell, is on the rankings. And, that's okay. I support all my colleagues. I'm happy for the success of Sarah Longwell and her other podcast. But, you could help bump us, help make it a little bit more of an even Steven kind of match.
Did JVL did you ask people to write comments on the George Conway Explains It All that are just about me?
No.
Did you make some kind of weird appeal? No. I think you did.
No, I think JVL's appeal was you please go write and comment and rate and review the new George Conway Explains It All to Sarah Longwell podcast, which everybody should do. And I think the joke was even if you want to compliment Tim. I think that was the joke.
There were a couple of like Tim Miller's still the best in there.
On the Thursday night show, I asked people to go and make sure they shined you up.
Because it is like, it's embarrassing. Like you read it and it's the show. Hopefully I'll grow more central to the show because it's just like George, just like going, and so it's all these people being like Sarah is just really shining in these, and I'm like, I clocked in at 3 minutes of talk time on this.
No, look, you're the straight man. Nothing he does works
Things people
without
have
the
never
straight
said to me
man
before.
setting it up. Yeah,
Sure.
phrasing. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.